Welcome dear students. We will discuss on the different formats of a radio. There are a number of formats, at least 10 formats we have in the radio programs. Among them the important ones are talk shows, discussions, interviews, radio features, documentaries, magazines. We will discuss in this in detail. First, what is radio talk? There is a broad groups in radio programs. That is, one is spoken word programs, another one is music related programs. What is radio talk? The radio talk probably is the oldest format on radio. There has been a tradition in India and Britain to invite experts or prominent newsmakers to speak for 10 to 15 minutes on topics allotted to them. In generally here current affairs we will discuss in this radio talks. These talks have to go through a process of being attuned to the radio's spoken word style. That is why we call it is radio talk. Coming to the another part, that is discussion. Another program format is a discussion. They are generally conducted to share information or find a solution to a specific issue or problems. In any discussion, there are two or more persons from different fields of that issue. Such discussions are conducted on subjects which may at a times be controversial. So, that is why while discussion we have to be monitor it. As a radio presenter in the same hall, he will sit with the discussions and he monitors, he moderates the discussions. So, in case of any irrelevant to the topic, the moderator or a radio presenter who stops it and asks to focus on the particular discussion topic or issue or problem. Coming to the interviews, this is a main interview program in a radio. We see in many interviews in a radio earlier in 90s, 80s before the emerge of television. There is the only source for the large people, the radio. They only listen in the radio about the interviews of the eminent persons. These interviews are intended to seek information from the persons being interviewed. Here interviewer is who may be expert, who may be a little aware about the topics, and who is interviewing he have to know priorly. A successful interviewer needs to do a lot of groundwork both about the subject to be discussed and the person being interviewed. He or she also needs to be sharp enough to latch on to what the person has said and ask questions related to that. Earlier we can see, we hear in many radio programs that there is a question by the radio news reporter or a presenter. So, he gets the information from the interviewer. Interviewer maybe it is chosen on the expertise of the subject. Many scientists, doctors, sometimes sports person were the examples for the experts. Maybe teachers, professors in the university, and any scientist in the large any particular sections. There is a social workers who are also experts in the field of their expertise. Another program is radio futures, especially in historical movements where we in the radio we are that the words only we listen it. The presenter who explains about the historical movements or historical ports, about the travels, about the travelogues, all these are the main topics for the radio futures. Sometimes health related futures, sometimes business related futures also part in this in programs. These are based on real people and issues. Here we explains means a reporter, a radio reporter who explains about the real issue as a radio feature instead of radio news. Where is the news difference between the news and features? News where we takes the elements 5WH. Here in the features we could not need to require all these 5WH elements. Whereas a future is a running story of a 2-3 days before which happens, a running story. Whereas radio news, it is a latest one. Maybe for radio it is an instant medium, so we have to give a latest information to the listeners. Maybe it is a 1 hour ago, it may be possible of the FM radios. FM radios are now giving a 2-minute news in every 1 hour. Whereas earlier a lot of programs we see on a televisions are educational and public service documentaries. Radio documentaries are also known as a radio features. Documentaries could be on celebrated personalities, famous institutions or burning civic issues, sometimes historical ports, historical places. These were the topic for the radio features. Coming to the radio magazine, what is magazine? We know in semester 1 and 2 we learnt print media in semester 2, where magazine, newspaper magazine. Magazine means a periodical of a weekly or a monthly or a fortnightly, whereas coming to the radio, radio magazine is a bunch of the news of particular that week or bi-weekly, maybe sometimes monthly or a 6 months or 3 months, whatever it is. Most of us are well aware of the magazines of a print which are published weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, like that. A radio magazine is broadcast at a particular time on a particular day of a week or a month with periodicity, that is we call radio magazine. So in the radio magazine, maybe mostly on a Friday evening or a Saturday evenings we listen. The people who are familiar with the radio, listeners on early 1990s, they know, they listen the program of a radio magazine at a particular time. Maybe it is evening hours, afternoon, at evening hours at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Whereas the roundup of that week, all news covers in the radio magazine. There is another important program is radio news. Radio news, it is meant to the particular time of a period. Maybe it is a morning audience, maybe it is a daytime audience. Sometimes a program is related to the timing. Every commercial stations, there is a, we know there is a, in a radio, commercial and non-commercial stations. Like commercial stations mainly focus on the FM radios. There is non-commercial radios like our Indian government owns AIR, All India Radio. That is a non-commercial radio station, where the programs which are related to the particular to the welfare of the people. Coming to the commercial stations, there is the FM programs which are focused on the particular target people, maybe a youth, maybe a woman, maybe men, maybe a sports person, like that. Here in a non-commercial stations, they focus all kind of a people with the focus on welfare of the government. There is a policies which are framed by the government. Sometimes media own house, they also prepares the policies to which in the policies they give some ethics or they give some topics, themes which are not be complicated, like a religious, gender and a social system. So while we are writing this part, we must be aware of this, the system of Indian society. Thank you very much, dear learners.